right, we are ready for chapter 18 of the book. Chapter 18 is called Bad, so let's get started. Roy called at 10 to tell Ruby he was on his way back from Monticello. "There's news," I heard Ruby tell him. "Mr. Hill is in the photos, Roy, and Elliot too. He saw those photos himself yesterday, and he still told Heidi her mother had never been there." Thurman Hill had known my mother. There was no doubt about it now. He had been at the party with Mama and the woman in the red sweater. People lie, but pictures don't. Elliot had been there too. He was the boy with the shaggy brown hair. I knew there was something familiar about him when I first saw him asleep in the chair. But with his hair shaved off, I hadn't recognized him from the pictures. I had a hard time waiting for Roy to get there. Ruby explained to him that I was very anxious to go back to Hilltop to see Elliot, and Roy had said we would talk about it when he got there. While we waited, Ruby and I went through the photographs again, one by one, pulling out everything that showed Elliot or Thurman Hill or Mama. There were even a couple where all three of them were in the same shot. "I just don't understand," Ruby said more than once. "He's a good man, Heidi. Why would he lie to you?" "I don't know, but he did," I said. "He told me she was never there, and the whole time he knew she was." "There must be some reason he's not telling the truth," Ruby said. I thought about my list. Sometimes people lie because the truth is too hard to admit. When Roy came back, the first thing he did was ask to see the photos. We showed him all the ones we'd pulled out. "It's clearly him," Ruby said, "and Elliot. Look at his hair, Roy. It was curly. I had never guessed that." Roy got a phone call, so I went to my room to get ready to go. I wanted to bring my notebook along in case there were new things to add to the lie list. I also wanted to start a list of questions to ask Thurman Hill. I decided to wear the red sweater to Hilltop, so Thurman Hill couldn't lie about that too and say that it didn't really match the one in the pictures. I had just started to look for the sweater when I heard a car start up in front of the house and gravel crunch in the driveway. I ran out into the living room in time to look out the window and see Roy pulling out. "Where's he going?" I asked anxiously. "He's just turning around or something, right?" "No, he's going up to Hilltop," she told me. "Mr. Hill called to say he's waiting there with his lawyer." "But I wanted to go too," I said. Roy knew I wanted to show Elliot the pictures." "Roy has the pictures," Ruby said. I was really upset. "My pictures? He took my pictures?" I asked. "Only the ones we pulled out," she said. "The others are still here." "He shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have taken my pictures without asking," I said. "And he shouldn't have left without me. He knew I wanted to go. He said I could." "No, he didn't. He said we would talk about it," Ruby said. "Well, we didn't talk about it, and now he's gone," I said. "He thought it would be better this way, Heidi," Ruby said. "Better to let the grown-ups sort things out." "Grown-ups are the ones who tell the biggest lies of all," I cried. "He promised to call," Ruby said. I wasn't going to sit around waiting for the phone to ring. I had a right to be there when the truth about Mama finally came out. It was cold outside that day, and the wind was bending the trees in the yard like giant gray pipe cleaners. I ran to the little bedroom to get my red sweater. It was all I would have to keep me warm on the long walk to Hilltop. I was pretty sure Ruby hadn't put the sweater in with the other clothes in the spicy top drawer, So I pulled open the second drawer from the top. It was filled with impossibly tiny clothes, little shirts and nighties, trimmed with ribbons and printed with patterns of lambs and kittens and ducks, most of them still in the wrappers or with tags attached. I didn't hear Ruby come in. Those belong to the babies I lost, she told me. There were 3. She was leaning against the door watching me, and if Bernie had been there, I know she would have said that Ruby's eyes told the whole story. I quickly shut the drawer, but it was too late. The sorrow caught in between those soft layers of pastel cotton had escaped and hung in the air now like a damp, cold mist. Everything slowed down as the mist swirled around the 2 of us standing there together in the little back bedroom. I'm sorry, Ruby. I didn't mean to open it, I said. I was looking for my sweater. I washed it last night. It's drying on a rack out on the porch, she said. I should probably empty that drawer out anyway. I could tell that sorrowful mist I'd loosed had wrapped itself tight around Ruby. I wanted to tell her I was sorry she had lost those babies. Sorry that I had made her remember. Instead, I offered her the only thing I could think of to give her right then. There were 1,527 in here when I started, but I ate a few yesterday, so I don't know the exact number anymore. You can have the rest, though, I said as I walked over and lifted the heavy glass jar of jelly beans off the shelf. Ruby brushed the backs of her hands across her eyes and smiled sadly. That's very sweet, she said. Where'd you get those anyway? I won them, I said, with a lucky guess. I believe it, she said. She sat down on the end of the bed, and I sat down next to her with the jar in my lap. 1,527, huh? She said. Originally, I said. I tilted the jar to one side and watched the beans tumble down through the glass. Reds, greens, yellows, pinks pushing up against each other, then going their separate ways, making and breaking up patterns as they went. I tilted it the other way and watched them shift and tumble again. I was the one tilting the jar, but it wasn't like I had any control over what happened inside it. All I could do was watch. It's not fair, I said. He was supposed to take me with him. I know, but life isn't fair sometimes, is it? Ruby said. The phone rang then, and Ruby went to go answer it. When she came back, she had my red sweater with her. I think it's dry enough now. Here, put this on and go comb your hair. Roy is coming to pick you up and take you up to Hilltop. Okay, so there's chapter 18. You will have just 2 questions to answer today for this chapter. Make sure that each answer has 2 to 3 good sentences. Each answer is worth 10 points. So you need at least 2, 3 if you want, to answer each of those questions. So we will talk to you again the next time.